Well, welcome to Bull Banter, and today we're joined by Director of Football at Macarthur FC, Sam Krslovic. Sam, welcome to Bull Banter.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for having us here today. What's it been like in Clubland this week?
This week's been pretty exciting. It's been pretty nervous at times, but it's been exciting, and we're finally, the sense of achievement that we've achieved, finals football in our first year, considering how many people doubted us, how many people tried to destabilise us, how many people tried to white ant us, and we always believed that we could actually get there, and we got there. So it's a great team effort from the staff at the football area to the staff in the office, and all of us combined to achieve this.
Yeah, good stuff. And just wanted to touch on Mark Milligan. So obviously he announced his retirement in the middle of the week here, and he's apparently going to be part of the coaching staff. Was that always the plan for him to go?
Well, firstly, Mark and I had lunch about 4 or 5 weeks ago, and he informed me of the decision. We just kept it quiet. Obviously, up to him when he wanted to inform the rest of the group. There was a plan to transition him into coaching, and happened a year earlier than it should have. But at the end of the day, Mark's got a lot of experience. We're a new club. He can bring a lot to the coaching and help the young boys coming through, and that's what we want. We not only want to develop our own players, we want to develop our own coaches, and Mark's the first step in line for that.
Yeah, excellent. So he's pulled up stumps just a little bit earlier than you thought.
Yeah, 1 year earlier, but I understand, Mark. It's best to go on your own terms than on somebody else's terms. It's best, he's still playing at a very good level. I mean, anyone watched the game on Monday, I thought he was outstanding. His goal was top shelf, and he's a leader. But you're better off going on your own accord than someone else tapping you on the shoulder. So
that's right, and we've seen A-League players before maybe leave it a bit too long, and maybe their legacy gets a bit diminished.
Yeah, 100%.
Also wanted to touch on last Thursday. So we had the match against Central Coast Mariners. Didn't go our way, but the atmosphere was quite good for a midweek fixture. We had reduced price tickets for those who are on the hills. Plenty of kids there. Is that a policy in terms of pricing for tickets that you're looking to?
I think people are getting too carried away, and they're cherry picking the pricing based on their own argument. The reason why we haven't had that that pricing was always a part of the pricing structure, but the COVID restrictions forbidden us to actually roll it out, right? And then we went to something along the lines of, okay, midweek fixtures, local kids, give the pricing. It's all like that. I mean, our prices are very affordable. If you look at a like-for-like category compared to the stadium configuration, and we're very limited at Campbelltown, as everyone knows, it's a pretty good pricing structure, okay? There's some people that think it's too expensive. Well, that's, I understand that. But there is a price point there for everybody to attend the game, okay? People that think that they should have premium, platinum plus, reserve seating for the same price as a general admission hill seating, they're delusional. That's not how the world works, right?
Yep. So then why do you think there was an increased amount of people on the hills for that particular?
Oh, because we rolled it out. So what we did was we rolled it out to all the local clubs in the area. Mm-hmm. And that's the first chance we really had to get all the clubs there because of the COVID restrictions, right?
So you're saying it's more that it was properly marketed?
It was more to do with the COVID restrictions, right? We could only have 250 on the hill, each hill, until they got lifted, because and those 500 tickets were catered for by our sponsorship allocation. Yep. So we couldn't put any more people on there if we wanted.
And that was only recently?
It was recently released and lifted.
Okay.
People can go and say, oh, this and that, but last year we operated in a very heavily regulated environment by the government who can and could attend. Mm-hmm. Don't forget, the derbies, we were limited to 3,800 people.
Yeah. And
we still had to pay for the stadium, not the stadium, we paid for the security, for the operations and all that. At the end of the day, it's still costing us 40, 50 grand a game.
Yeah.
People don't realise, but that's what it costs. Campbelltown Stadium, to host an event, minimum we're paying is 40,000.
Yeah, and that's tough to justify.
Tough to justify, especially with 3,800 people and everything else. So that's the reality of it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Also wanted to try and draw a few comments from you on some certain transfer speculation that's come up in the media, and I know you could give me the straight bat back, but we've heard First of all, reports of Ulises Dávila joining from Wellington for next season. Can you comment on anything like that?
I'm very confident Ulises Dávila will be here next year.
Lovely.
Okay.
You've heard it first. We've also heard some rumours, and it's maybe a bit more tenuous than the Dávila rumours, about Daniel De Silva joining from Central Coast Mariners.
Danny De Silva, we are in discussions with him. It's not a done deal yet. I'll be perfectly frank.
That's amazing. I was expecting this to be like, no, I can't comment on that.
No, honestly. No, we're in discussions with him, and it's no secret. I mean, everyone knows it. But nothing's come to fruition, and I'm not sure if it will.
Two amazing players as well, so yeah.
Well, look, obviously we're looking at, as the Americans call Ulises being a franchise player. It changes the whole face of our club, changes the dynamic of the team.
Someone you build the club
around. He's at a good age, and all these sort of things gives us a lot of positives. Plus he always gives us an opportunity when COVID. When COVID finally gets lifted in a year or two, potential sale into Asia, which is what we're looking for as well. Residual revenue for players to go overseas.
You've got to be looking for those revenues.
Yeah, so we're looking at players that we can improve and eventually sell overseas. So it's a fine balance.
Yeah, of course, because being in early stages of the club, you've got to look on, okay, how can we continue to make that profit, especially if the crowds aren't exactly where we want them to be.
Look, the first year was always get who we can. Let's do the best we can. We were confident we could get there. The second year, we went from being the ugly ducklings to hardly anybody wanting to come, to now everybody wanting to come. Yeah. The amount of, in the last 4 to 8 weeks, the amount of players that have come across the desk is phenomenal. They're chasing us now. So that was for us, it's been a massive transformation in the perception of the club out there. Unbelievable. Yeah. And that's all. What
do you count that down to? Do you think they just want to work with Ante, or they've seen the
Mate, do you want me to put it perfectly frank?
Yeah.
Everyone thought we were going to be shit. That's the reality. Everyone thought we were going to be shit. Everyone was reading all the media all the social media crap that goes on, all the negative, all the white anting. But at the end of the day, we were confident in what we're doing. We have great football people at the club, and we knew we'd get to where we had to get to. Okay, yeah. And we've, I was always confident we'll make finals football. Never once waned. Me and Ante were always confident.
We also just wanted to press you on. I know we've brought in players like Carl Cimenti from NPL.
Yes.
Is there any other type of player, even if you don't have to drop the name, but any type?
No. Those sort of players you are really on what is relevant at that time of what's happening. Like look at Charles. We plucked him from NPL. Yeah. Charles, I watched him once by accident. I was at a game and he played. And I said to Ante, I go, we need to go watch this kid again. He's a bit different. And then Ante went to watch him play a game, I think against Apia again. He rang me, he goes, oh, you're right about this kid, let's bring him in. So he brought him in, and Charles is a good player. Yeah. So we're not, everyone looks at, we look at, all right, we've got to bring in good top players. We've got to bring good young players who we can improve, who have potential. And I think for too long, people have neglected the NPL. People have think there's good players in the NPL. I mean, I spent a lot of time in the NPL space, and obviously you got to know players and things. But the biggest thing these kids need, they need a chance. And they need to be given and believe in that, right? Yeah, Cimenti's come in as an injury replacement. He's doing very well. And now he's got a few weeks, and we'll see what happens. It's up to him. If he gets a chance tomorrow night, does well, he might win himself a contract. Just like Charles got an extension, Lockie got an extension, Rusi got an extension, Holman got an extension. I mean, these are good young players, very good young players.
Yeah, so it's about addressing that disconnect that was there between like the youth league, which is kind of a abomination,
yes,
if I'm to put it bluntly, and the actual A League, the professional.
100%.
Yeah, addressing that. It's good. It's good that we've got that direction, that development. Wanted to touch on the recent announcement of the TV deal as well. I'm sure you may have known about this far earlier because it's only just come out in the media. But what is your take on it? Does it give us what is required to grow, not just as a club, but as a league?
I think the best thing about the deal, and people need to realise this, it's an actual partnership. Okay, with Fox, we were just slaves. We were content slaves. They did what they wanted. They treated us with one can only say a lack of respect. They tried to drive down the price for their own thing. the people don't realise this offer is Channel 10 and Channel 10 and Paramount, but really it's CBS in America, and CBS do a lot of the MLS, yeah? So they've got a lot of synergies, and it's an actual partnership.
Yeah.
It's an actual partnership.
And they have a stake in the league as well.
No, they don't.
No?
Someone else is looking to put a stake in the league.
Not yet.
But the amount of the amount of money that's being committed to the league, the amount of advertising contra dollars that's being delivered on prime time, the fact that we're going to have a game on Channel 10 every once on free to wear on a Saturday night, that is unbelievable. People, you can't stress that. Don't forget what Channel 10 did with the Big Bash.
Yeah.
That's how they did it. So we've got a 5-year partnership with an option for an extension. I mean, Paramount is their streaming service, but they're obviously, Paramount Pictures, so there's going to be a streaming service, very affordable, $8.99 a month. You can watch every game, plus movies, plus whatever. I think that's, I think it's a proper partnership, and I'm very excited about it, considering that I've got to say everyone kept that very, very quiet.
Yeah.
There was a big diversion around Stan. Everyone thought it was going to be Stan, and that popped out last minute. So it's been very quiet, but it's been a lot of work, a lot of hard work by a lot of good people. And you got to take your hat off to Danny Townsend and Ant who ran that on behalf of the clubs.
Yeah, because they basically rescued the game. I mean, it was on a sinking ship in terms of Fox Sports, who was disrespecting it, and now they've found a broadcast partner who seems to be invested in developing it.
Look, I've got to say, I think that it's fair to say that they were looking to get away from Fox anyway. I mean, you can't look. I won't go into the specifics, but you've got. I know there's a legal standpoint under contracts you can do it, but from a morality point of view, I think it was totally it doesn't fit in my moral set anyway.
Yeah. So the reason I wanted to ask you about the TV deal though is because earlier in the season there was this story that came out from Sydney Morning Herald, Tom Smiggers, I think it was, and he's basically making the argument that there's so many off-contract players for next season. Does that being locked in place now give us solidity to actually lock in players for longer term contracts, or do we prefer to operate on having a certain amount of core players and then a bit of a, for lack of a better term, revolving door for certain?
I don't think it's a revolving door. I think in any club and anywhere in the world, you're always going to have 10 to 12 players on contract, and you always got to have the ability to rejuvenate the squad and change it. Whether you get younger players in, change the dynamics of the squad. In case the coach leaves, you've got to have room to the new coach to bring in some new players. I think that's the norm. I think it's suicidal for clubs to go in and sign 18 players
and lock everyone
in. I think it's very silly. We've got, what do we got? We've got 12 players on the contract. We sign a few more. We're looking at a few more. So the stability there is 12, 13. That's about it.
And that keeps the squad competitive, keeps people competing for contracts, keeps them looking forward and into the future.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We talked about finals. I want you to, as well, think about at the start of the season. You talked earlier about how we were written off. We were told that we, couldn't do this, couldn't do that. But there were also, alongside our entry into the league, a few promises that were made at the start. And one of them I wanted to bring up with you was the academy, the soccer academy, the Indigenous Soccer Academy, Charles Perkins.
Look, the Charles Perkins Academy. The Charles Perkins Academy is. Was something that was derived when we had a partnership in terms of when Walkers were involved. Without going into too much of the politics, the club still has an aspiration for an Indigenous academy, but obviously people need to realise COVID hit. So priorities had to change. Our first priority had to be to put a team on the park and fund that team, and the second priority was the community programs in and around this area. The new ownership group is not interested in running a travel show around Australia.
Yeah.
We're only interested in what happens in our own backyard. We're only interested in investing in our own backyard. We're only interested in doing stuff in our own backyard. So the Indigenous program must focus on Indigenous people in the Macarthur, Southwest Sydney area, not somewhere else. We get no benefit out of that, and that's not part of where we want to be anyway. So that's, basically we had to realign our...
but it's still something that's...
the Indigenous Academy, Indigenous Academy going. We've seen a few teams, boys and girls teams, to Indigenous tournaments. We're in the final stages of working out the budget and the funding going forward. But again, the focus has to be on the young Indigenous men and women in Macarthur and Southwest.
And building off that, I guess one of the things that was recently reported on was the complex out at the back of Camden, the academy.
Yes.
Is that definitely going ahead, first of all? And how do you see it sort of impacting our club? What does it bring for us?
Oh, look, it's definitely going ahead. I mean, the ownership group has spent in excess of $3 million to buy the land, so it's definitely going ahead.
Yeah.
In terms of, it gives us our own facility, which we own. You know, we become landlords rather than being tenants and being dictated to by different organisations. It's a future, you know, a centre of excellence gives you more ability to grow and create something that you need as a club. I mean, considering that, you know, some clubs in the A-League haven't even got, they're 15 years in, haven't got their own training facility, and we've gone to build one after 1 year. That means, you know, the direction that we want to go is the right direction.
Yeah, we're putting them to shame, you know, by having that development squad.
We have to. I mean, it's you need to invest in infrastructure, and with infrastructure comes all the other benefits.
Yeah, well, it seems like we're building something that's got legs. You know, that's not just here gone.
Yeah, no, 100%. But that's the whole thing. You have to build a legacy. So the whole thing about our mindset is, once we leave, what legacy have we left?
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Sam, for joining us.
You don't want to ask me anything else? Anyone got anything else?
Yeah, you know what?
Off the cuff.
You know what? Let's go. I got one.
Yeah.
All right. So earlier in the season,
yes,
there was a bit of tumult around active support and the bullpen.
Yes.
Can you comment on the relationship now? Has it?
The relationship now with the bullpen is unbelievable.
Yeah.
There is the relationship previously was due to one or two individuals who thought they were bigger than the club, and it was all about them, and they were hijacking it for their own personal gain. And then they started a wide anti-social media campaign against the club. Which, if you love a club, you don't do that, mate.
Yeah.
Right? You can have like for me, you can dislike me, but don't dislike the club. You can have a go at me, but don't have a go at the club. And that's what we're dealing with.
Yeah.
You know, the active supporter group, we're very much in favour of it. I mean, we've even built, I don't know if people have seen, last week we delivered that mechanical bull, that blows the smoke, safe smoke and that. So we're doing a lot of stuff in and around that.
Yeah. Is there intention, obviously, it's got to be a bit organic, but how is the club, I guess, assisting the growth of
Yeah, look, we need to look at, I mean, we obviously looked at the pricing structures. We got rid of the under 18 restriction. We want to make it more family friendly, right? Yeah. But at the end of the day, you know, I mean, it's been a tough grind to get to where we got to.
Yeah. And you know what? Might as well one more off the cuff. Who are we signing next?
Oof, that's a good one. No, well, look, we need to sign a left back.
Yeah.
So we're looking at a couple of left backs. We need to sign another defensive midfielder. So we're looking at a couple of them. You know, we'll most probably go for an experienced left back and maybe a younger defensive midfielder. You know,
no names on the radar.
There's a couple, but nothing concrete. Yeah, you can ask me next week. I might have something concrete for you.
Okay.
So we're doing all that. I mean, we're really concentrating on finishing the season the best we can, going as far as we can in the finals, and then we'll start. You know, obviously on building the squad for next year. You know. I mean, my hard work and Ante's hard work starts the day after that we're knocked out. Everyone else goes on holidays, but we start work. We start preparing. We start looking at stuff. We look at videos. We look at analysis. We look at, you know, what are their high speed meters? What are their, you know, how much do they run? This is all big stuff we need to do.
Yeah, wonderful. Anything?
No, great convo. I was happy watching.
Lovely. Well, Sam, thanks so much for that.
Thanks a lot, boys. Wish you all the best.
Bull Banter.
Good. Excellent, boys. Thank you very much, mate.